Buzzwords are big in the watch industry. If you've been around watches for a while, then you know that there are so many terms that are thrown around that mean certain things. We have things like complications, we have brands, we have a lot of words that are in different languages, some German, some French, and of course, most of the watch industry that we see, know, love, and enjoy is in Switzerland. So there's a lot of different words and phonetics and things involved here. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 words used in luxury watches that need to go away. Now, what I mean by this is that these 5 words or phrases really don't mean a whole lot any longer. And it's a little bit of a personal rant, but nonetheless, I think that these 5 phrases we're going to cover are really just overplayed. But hey, sometimes that's just part of marketing. Now, speaking of marketing, I do have to make a shameless plug for my new watch marketplace, Chronograbs.com, where you can buy and sell watches at 0% commission and 0 listing fees currently right now at Chronograbs.com. And this will be the last time that I share it with you and the last chance for you to sign up. But if you sign up before June 15th, 2025, you'll be entered to win this Tudor Black Bay watch. All you have to do is go over to Chronograbs.com and sign up for a free account. And of course, you do have to be in the US because right now we're just focused on the US market. As we perfect it here over the next couple months, we'll soon thereafter start slowly rolling out into other markets. And if you have signed up already, thank you so much for the support. It means a lot coming from me and the rest of the people that we have on our quickly growing team, Chronograbs.com. So the first phrase that needs to end is tool watch. Now, if you just say or think about tool watch, gut reaction might be, well, what's wrong with that? This guy is crazy. Let me explain. A Rolex Daytona is technically a tool watch, right? It's a chronograph. It's oftentimes considered a tool watch. But are you going to use it, to be working on your car? Are you going to use it while you're using power tools? The chances are very low, right? An Omega Speedmaster, this one happens to be the Japan Racing limited series, but a lot of these kind of tool watches are oftentimes very expensive, high-end luxury watches that maybe you're not going to actually use as a tool watch. And if we really want to talk about the words or the semantics about this, isn't any watch kind of a tool watch? A dress watch can be used as a tool watch. It's keeping time. It doesn't necessarily have to be rugged, durable, and let you beat it up and not care too much about it to be called a tool watch because, sure, costs of watches can be considered cheap or expensive to different people that are shopping in different price points. But when we just talk about tool watch, I think it doesn't really mean a whole lot. And if you call a watch a tool watch, it doesn't necessarily drive home a point. Maybe instead, if you want to convey rugged and durable, you can just say, the watch is rugged and durable. Let me know what you guys think about tool watch in the comments below. Now that takes us into another buzzword that is heritage. It seems like today, many brands, and increasingly to the point of almost all brands, have some type of heritage line. And if they don't, they generally talk about it in their brand history page. Now, I'm not going to talk about how some brands maybe sometimes kind of, mess with their brand history a little bit to convey some history that might not be exactly as they'd like you to think. There's some gaps, sometimes 50, 60 years in the brand history. But heritage is often kind of used as a way to convey that a watch looks similar to maybe a watch that they had in their brand of yesteryears, decades ago. Think the Breitling Super Ocean, think something like a Tudor Black Bay that's supposed to look like a Tudor Submariner. You get the idea. But generally speaking, this blanket statement here, heritage, if it has it in the name of the watch, it's likely going to cost you about 15% more than if the watch didn't have a heritage stamp on it. Let me know what you think, comments below. Rolling on is in-house movement. Now, once upon a time when I first started getting into luxury watches in about the year 2008, this actually kind of meant something. Having an in-house movement meant something specific. It meant that the brands were developing their own movements in-house, and oftentimes you saw it from independent brands. Back then, pretty much a lot of brands were just using the base ETA movements and then into the ETA equivalents once the patents on those did kind of become common use for the base out of movements of the time. But, you had a brand that was just kind of hitting the scene, at least in the US, called Nomos, and they produced their movements in-house after they transitioned away from the early peso movements, the small manual wine movements, which were owned eventually by Swatch Group. And so in-house today doesn't mean a whole lot, because it used to convey that the brand is making their own movement, but now there are so many movement developers and architects and manufacturers in countries like Switzerland that will produce an in-house movement for any brand for the right price to fit the kind of case, shape, form, and function that they need, where it's like, there's a lot of kind of meddling in what brands use which movements and where. Now, in the case of Rolex, sure, of course, you can say the movements are made by Rolex and Patek Philippe and some of the others. But just saying in-house movement doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot, other than there's something very specific about this movement that is exclusively for this brand in some kind of a way. It could be a minor difference, or it could be something large, but you don't know because the term has become kind of ambiguous in its usage. Rolling on is investment piece. Now, if you followed me throughout the years in other channels, like my old business partner over at Delray Watch, Federico, then you know that generally it's recommended to buy what you're going to wear and enjoy and not invest in watches. When you invest in watches, there's so many different things that can be said about this, but generally you're looking to buy a watch that you think there's upside in. And as we've seen with the market pullback over the last couple years, for at least kind of the secondary market pricing of where watches have become from their peak down considerably, especially for blue chip like Rolex and similar. If you look at it as an investment, it might not be an investment. And if you're buying something just purely that it might go up in price, it kind of turns into speculation and not so much as an investment. Now, if you want to call it an investment and really you're investing in your happiness and enjoyment of the watch, fine. But in terms of a financial or monetary sense, I do not recommend watches be investments. Maybe you get some upside. Maybe you kind of, try to limit the downside and buy a watch that's not going to completely tank after you walk out the door. But you get the idea. This term, I think we really do need to put to rest. And last, this is limited or special edition. This term gets thrown around so much in the watch industry, increasingly so over the last 5, 6, 7 years, but every watch that has a new dial color is a limited edition. Every watch that has, a new strap combination or a new, anything, a new, engraving on the case back to commemorate someone's birthday that helped design the movement 40 years ago, they're all special limited releases, right? Now, you can put some credit to where a brand says that a watch is numbered, because you know how many there are. Each piece has the number on it. And if it's a lower number, then you can rest assured that, hey, this is how many they're going to produce. But just simply saying that a watch is limited or special doesn't really mean a whole lot, because you have to kind of beg the question, to what extent? Is this limited to 1,000 pieces? Is this limited to 20,000 pieces? Where is this going? And so they're kind of trying to convey some type of exclusivity there, but you don't know where the exclusivity is unless they tell you. And if you just say something's a special watch, well, things can be special to different people for different reasons. And some people are very different and very special, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't mean a whole lot. And I think brands will eventually stop doing this, but I haven't seen it really slow down that much recently. Let me know what you guys think about this one as well in the comments below. So guys, this has been 5 terms that I think are just overused in the watch industry. I know, maybe sometimes I come across as a little bit negative, but it's really just kind of a fun little video here, and also a video where I can keep in communication with you that have been with me throughout all the years. I know I haven't posted a lot recently. I've been pretty busy, including working on this new marketplace, Chronograbs.com. So if you are interested, make sure to go sign up and check that out over there. And we'll see you next time. You've been chatting with John P.